Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of Dark Matter Episode 3, The Box. So, with this review, I'm just going to review it straight through the episode because the episode just goes back and forth with this zip tie snap sound effect, which I really enjoy and like. So, I'm just going to go that way, and there's a lot of stuff going on here, and there's really a lot of stuff I liked. So, the quick information we learn here is that Amanda and Leighton are actually pissed about this hit woman Dawn killing Daniela at the end of the last episode. That wasn't supposed to go that extreme, and it only can risk more problems from them, as we'll see they say later in the episode, because they already have so many people missing attached to their company, so they do not want the police ruining everything and catching on. And like Leighton will say, he doesn't want to have all his billions risked. They put everything for this project for the other Jason and for themselves. They even say at one point in this episode they would all put their lives for it, especially that Jason. So it's something that the police are getting closer and closer to when we meet the new detective this episode that will come in, which we're going to get to. Now, when we get our first transition with this zip tie sound effect, we actually see, I'm going to call him Jason the Creator, the Jason that is the villain here. But this episode really highlights more and more how much he's different to Daniela, which she's liking. He's more seductive, he's spending more money, he's buying them bottles of wine, and his son is getting all these great gifts from his dad and is not being cheap. So it's a different experience for them, but you're also seeing the manipulation that this Jason is doing and how much effort he has to actually put in to keep his cover, because he's got to go through their different social media accounts of the people who are going to be at this guest party. It seems like he has a photographic memory where he's able to remember that hotel that they asked him about the dinner party right at the last minute, and he's able to pull that back from all these photos he's looking at. It's why he's also watching these old family videos. But there's important lines like where Daniela will say to him when they're dancing in the episode, like, is everything okay? And same, you already see with the son being a little suspicious. So there's little breadcrumbs for them where maybe deep down it's not fully formed yet, but something's obviously off. What I want to say while I'm thinking about this is what's really important to me and really fascinating, and I had said in my first two episode reviews that I hope that the show stays with a lot of mystery and getting really intriguing, and that's exactly what this episode did. And really things that intrigue me a lot is the character of Blair. Shout out Amanda Brugel, Handmaid's Tale. But she was the first worker to disappear. I think that the Blair that was the first worker to disappear is the same Blair that Jason is seeing, Jason the Creator, in that timeline, and that she is keeping her own cover. I also think that someone else in that dinner party, at least one of them, was one of the volunteers. Remember, there was two volunteers who jumped in this box after Jason, so he wouldn't have recognized them. So there is someone in that dinner party, because they do make a point of him saying all those different names and showing photos of them to his son, trying to remember their names. But I think that those people are more important than letting on. So there's a lot going on under this, which makes me very excited about the mystery of the show. And I think someone like a Blair, they are going to want her to kind of get maybe her revenge on Jason, and that's why she's keeping her cover to him. And plus, he didn't even have the decency to like recognize her last name. Remember, he had to actually ask his son for that, which I thought was very important. Now we meet Detective Mason in the other timeline, and she meets with Leighton. This is where, again, when I was talking about where the police are getting onto them, but we also see that Leighton's grandfather was the founder of Velocity, and that they started in aviation and they built jet engines. So this is where this money's coming from. This is probably why he started a relationship with that Jason and needing certain tech to make this whole operation work. And obviously Leighton is a very sketchy character, and he'll do anything to get his vision met. And how him and Amanda have to keep lying to the police because, again, they have this version of Jason tied up in a basement. This is interesting, though, because as the episode goes on, Amanda's the one who starts coming to her senses and is obviously set up now as a good character, where Leighton's more and more going towards that villain end of the show. Now we see this Jason starts smartening up here because he starts playing the help me remember card for him to actually gain the info of what's going on, which I was excited is already happening, that we're getting to that point. So we get to see the box as Jason does and get explained about it. And it's interesting because Jason's seeing that a version of himself out there was able to accomplish what he could only dream of, making this box. Now he'll actually watch the footage of that Jason when that day he ran into the box himself. And then we see that Amanda ran after him. Now, Amanda will clarify this later on because he'll ask her what happened that day. I thought it was interesting because they were together, still living together when that happened that morning, and she said he was off and that something was clearly bothering him, but that he had seen his ex-girlfriend the night before. I'm just shocked that the character of Amanda was okay with that, I guess, that the more important thing was what was bothering him than actually like, okay, you can just hang out with your ex-girlfriend, which is definitely Daniela, while I'm just at home. That is very strange to me. But anyway, we'll see. She chased after him, so there's more to that story as well with him and Daniela and Amanda. And I think it's very cool that Jason was in a relationship with Amanda. This one is probably going to start building a connection with this Amanda. So it's a lot of different like relationship switching too, and seeing how they react with someone they would have fallen in love with in another timeline. We also learn that Ryan built this drug, Lavender Fairy. This is the drug that Jason injected into himself, the other Jason, and it's the key to this box doing its job. And we'll learn from Ryan himself the drug Jason had him make. It was one to put the subject's prefrontal cortex to sleep for an hour, and the drug stops the brain from causing its own decoherence. So the box itself then stops decoherence from others, that effect on the outside. It's a little sci-fi confusing a bit, but that's the main gist of it. So we'll see they actually have to use that when they're trying to escape through the box later on. Now what's also wild is when Amanda had first told him about this drug is when you get that nice twisty effect of sci-fi that's really effective where Jason is self-reflecting to her and he's like, what if I'm not the person I think I am? And they also talk about how it could be a possible brain trauma from the box. And he's like, what if I'm not me? What if I'm the person everybody else thinks I am? So you're just like, whoa, that's one of those mind-spinning moments. And it also triggers something in Amanda here that, okay, possibly this guy isn't really the Jason we think he is. And it's just great acting in this scene by Joel Edgerton and Alice Braga. They're both just knocking it out of the park. Now, we also are going to get a reveal here that Leighton will find out what's really going on and what he's been doing. And he found this out through Ryan. So he calls him an imposter and then punches him. And I like the back and forth they did with this and the scene at the dinner party another time. I thought that was nice editing. And it was important that Leighton will talk to Jason about the importance of this because there's also that belief they had of the power, if this was to work, that they would be able to bring back, let's say, the cure for cancer and bring that to their reality, which is fascinating. But unfortunately, we know how humans are, and it's not all good things they bring back. And they obviously see already that Jason's taking advantage of other people and different timelines. The creator Jason, he has not shown in that timeline any interest in helping people yet. What was really creepy and eerie about the creator Jason in that timeline, when he tells the story to Daniela of why he's been different and that he's never felt so alive after he was offered this job, almost hit by this taxi. But it wasn't him. He's not telling her the whole truth. He's taking the story of the man of himself that he was watching, that version of himself, and he's saying he should be grateful for her and not afraid to live. So it's going to be interesting to see what his total motivations are here and how much he's testing out this different lifestyle, seeing different choices he made and how they resulted in, like him staying with Danielle and having a kid. Now, where I had said that Amanda is going to be showing her good side now, she's doing a redemption arc now because she's like, I don't know if I can come back from what I've been a part of, but I have to try. So that's why she is here. She's here to rescue this Jason that we like in that timeline. And I love when he's like, what about Ryan? And she's like, he's screwed basically. But I don't think that's the last we've seen of that Ryan. I think he'll help them some way, somehow from that building. It was also hysterical when we see Leighton sees them going up the elevator and again Jason punches him directly in the face when the door's closing. I thought that was really funny. But they run into the box as Dawn is shooting at them, and then Dawn's fingers get slammed and actually come off in the box. That was wild, and I'm guessing her fingers maybe come along with them into the other dimension. What happens to those? That was gruesome. I didn't expect that. But they got 3 minutes to go before that box is going to open again, and they take the drug, and appears this big cliffhanger is that somehow something's worked, because now the box is huge. It's like there's different paths to maybe different dimensions we're going to see. So I thought that was a really awesome cliffhanger, and I almost wish they released this episode in the first batch instead of just 2 and have that be the cliffhanger for the 3rd episode, because that's what got me really excited. Like, now I'm all in. And then we get this other good reveal with the creator Jason, is that we learn that that other Jason that we like had twins, and that Charlie has a brother, and we can assume that that twin passed because we don't see him. So that's really interesting too. So you get two nice cliffhangers there and a great reveal. And you're seeing, okay, this is what I hope this show was going to be. I was a little worried from the first two that maybe it wouldn't, that it'd get too into like sappy and him trying to get his wife back. But no, it's like really intense sci-fi and mystery. So I'm like, oh, okay, the possibilities are endless here. I'm excited. So I'm actually gonna give this episode an 8.8. That was really solid, and it got me like really pumped for the show now. And I'd love to hear your thoughts with no book spoilers, unless it's stuff we've already seen in the show. And I've never read the book myself. But let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and check out the interviews I've done for the show as well. And please subscribe here and check out my X-Men channel if you're into that. And I'll see you next time.